Hi, everybody. Okay, awesome, cool. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Slack, but mainly about like bots and interactions, and we'll do some interactive stuff with you as well. At any point, if you have any questions or if I'm boring, just do like this or something like that so I can change the pace. So this is me, or at least a mental model of myself. You know this guy? He's an ambassador, right? So I'm an ambassador. I'm an ambassador between Slack and startups and partners of Slack. So I run developer relations, and we help people build better bots on top of our platform. And let's talk a little bit about why do we have a platform. So our mission is to make people's work life simpler, more pleasant, and more productive. And there's a lot of, I'm sure you see a lot of apps that have the same promise, right? We all use a lot of apps that makes our life more productive. But the problem is that all these apps come with a cost. And the cost is that you need to do a lot of context switching, right? And you need to do, to go into this app to get that resource, and you need to go to that app to get that resource. So our mission in Slack is to turn all these apps and all these services into a single unified communication. And that's the messaging platform. It's a command center where you don't only talk to your friends, but you also talk to services. And you talk to these services using bots. So I think the next thing I'm going to go and talk about are what are the different APIs, or what is the bot anatomy, and what composes a bot, and what's the implementation over on Slack. Okay, good? Yeah, okay, awesome. Remember, this is like move to another topic. Okay, so the first type, which is really interesting, and a lot of people don't know about it, is notifications. Most of the bots that you see out there are notification bots. This is the most common use case in most of the platforms. Notifications are interesting because they bring data into your chat application, into your chat platform. In this example, we partner with Google to expose information from my calendar straight into Slack. And this is good because it also improves transparency. So my team can see these notifications and interact on them. So the bot immediately starts to show value and to improve transparency. Another example is Envoy. Envoy is a startup that provides guest registration service. And when someone visits me in Slack in the office, I get this nice notification into Slack. So it's a connection between Internet of Things, between physical things, and the chat application, right? This is really important because you can think of it, there's so many use cases here. There's a door that doesn't need to be opened after 10 o'clock. Connect a sensor into it, connect it to a bot, and you got something that automatically notifies the security team whenever that door opens after 10, right? So think of all these interesting use cases that you have using simple notifications. Actually, just a note here, Alex, that's not his real Gmail. I've been doing these presentations for a while, and people start using emailing Alex, poor Alex. So this is another email, okay? You can. At the technical level, notifications are a simple URL that we expose to you, to bot builders. Just hitting that URL will put the notification into Slack. So it's as simple as calling an HTTP request. Okay, so you can actually use a curl command, and from the command line, post a notification into Slack. Super, super, super simple. Now buttons. I've never been so excited about buttons since I joined Slack. Buttons are a great way to shortcut conversations. So let's say I have a conversation and I can ask for approval. So the bot could ask for approval or do an approval notification. Clicking on that button actually takes action, which is awesome. How many of you like to do expense reports? But think of it, an expense report is pretty awesome, right? I paid for someone, I paid for something, and then the company brings back the money to me, right? It should be a delightful experience. Why is it not a delightful experience? Because it's a very cumbersome user experience. Once everything happens into Slack and I click that button, and it's approved, right? So it's a delightful way to bring cumbersome services into a delightful experience. Okay, tips and tricks on notifications. Formatting is very important. I see a lot of bot builders that are just putting text and like big chunks of text that is unformatted. If you do formatting, you improve your, you can use images, you can use links, you can use a lot of like rich formatting that really improves the user retention and engagement. Digest, don't spam. I see a lot of bots right now that are being spammy. Doing a digest is a much better way. So if there's like 7 events that happens today, don't ping me 7 times. Give me, at the end of the day, hey, there has been 7 events. I think that's a better way of engagement. And consider using emojis. That's the new way to communicate between each other. But it's also a good way to actually show that things happen, like the white V there. It's a good way to show visually, provide information to the user. Okay. The next one is slash commands. How many of you use Slack? Okay, cool. Oh, thank you. Awesome. You're all awesome. Slash commands are an easy way to invoke action from within Slack on third-party services. So it's like waking up your bot. So slash commands are an easy way. Here in this example, we partnered with Foursquare. So you do a Foursquare business lunch in Miami, and you get a highly formatted result. So it's a great way to actually interact with the user and using Slack, or any other in chat messaging as the command line for the third-party service. At the technical level, a slash command is a URL that you expose to Slack. So the user writes the slash command, Slack servers hit your server, say, hey, this user with this team has run this slash command with this text, and the response that you give back to us is what the user sees. Okay? So it's, again, super, super simple, a way to interact with users. Last one is a bot user. If you stop anyone in San Francisco and ask what they're doing, they're probably building a bot. That's my definition of a bot. Everybody's bot shit crazy. But the key is that bots are a delightful way to expose interactions. For example, I have a bot called Amy that exposes, through email, exposes calendar services. There's another one here called Mikan that exposes like organizing meetings. In this example, we partner with Howdy to create a check-in bot. And the check-in bot is like, I don't know, how many of you are engineers? Good number of you. So you know what check-ins ends. It's like I meet and I say, hey, what have I done today? What am I doing tomorrow? And what am I blocked on? And this is a very simple process when you have a small team in a single place. But once you have a distributed team in multiple different time zones, it's much harder to do this process, right? So the bot goes to each person, collects that information, and brings it back to the team manager. So you can see that how it used to be a person that did that, but now we have a bot that facilitates this simple but very important process. We recognize that building bots is a little bit more complicated than just a slash command or a notification. So we built, together with Howdy, something called BotKit. And other than sounding like a Polish dessert, it's actually a framework for No, it didn't work? Okay. It's actually a framework for building bots. So even if you're not an engineer, you can pretty much understand what's happening here. So the bot is hearing for hello, hi, or greeting in a way of mention or direct mention. And what it replies is hello. So this is an easy and simple way to actually create these interactions. And you can go BotKit, it's open source. There's a few other great open source frameworks, and I'll be happy to talk about that offline. Tips and tricks with bots in general, with bot users, always support help and feedback. Super important. I see a lot of bots that don't have the help command. Always support the help command. Make your users understand how to use the bot. Do you know what's DM? DM, direct message. One of the things that I see with onboarding of bots is that they DM everyone in the team. That's an easy way to get the person who installed the bot fired, right? Don't do that. So actually, when you think about onboarding a friend to the team, right? What happens if you work in a company, you're using a messaging platform, let's say Slack, and there's a new person that comes to the team. How do you onboard them, right? Use the same paradigm, use the same way of thinking of onboarding a bot. So the person who is installing the bot is the hiring manager, and then he brings up the bot and introduces them to the right people, adds them to the right channels. So think of a bot as another friend in Slack, and think about how do you onboard them like you onboard a new member to the team. And like any bot ecosystem, we have a bot directory, an app directory. And the key thing for you as people who are interested in this is what's there and learning from the apps that are and the bots that are there, but also looking at what's not there. I think that's even more interesting. Because if you go there, you'll see that there's a greenfield opportunity to create a lot of apps and a lot of bots. If you go there, look at what's missing. What would you like to use that is not there? And that's where my job is, right? To make this place complete. So if you have great ideas, we'd love to see you there. An interesting thing to note, this is like information that I shared with bot builders in Houston, Texas last week. 90% of the installs that we see come from the app directory. So if you're not in the app directory, you have a much less chance to actually get installs, quality installs. But this is like the downside. Only 2% of the bots that we review actually pass through our first screening, which is pretty shocking, right? So only 98% don't pass the first review. And I actually asked my team what are like the top reasons for not getting not getting approved. Is it still interesting? Okay, awesome, cool. Everybody's very quiet. Probably Austria. Okay. Sorry, I got a tail. Yay! No, I don't have a tail. Cool, thank you. You're a friend. Okay, so these are the reasons why most of our bots fail. Look at this. If you fix this, you improve your chances of getting into our directory. So poor onboarding. Think of onboarding as like I think that's one of the most important things other than having a useful service. So I always say that a shitty service, you can't have an amazing bot over a shitty service. The first thing is having a good service. Then onboarding functionality needs to be not broken. We actually test every app and we actually use it. So if you want to understand how we look at this, we see apps as making Slack better. So we actually are very, very, our mission is to make apps great over Slack. So we actually have our team install every bot and use it and provide user experience and security review and policies in order to make all the bots that live on Slack high quality. So our focus is not on quantity, it's on quality. And this is why we focus on quality. This is why this is important to us and probably should be important to you. Because there's a direct correlation between people who are paying for Slack and people who are using bots. 90% of our paid teams are using integrations and bots. For me, this is amazing because that means that I'm bringing you as bot builders a qualified audience who's willing to pay for services. Right? So that's a super important, and our users are very, very engaged. They use Slack about 10 hours a day, and they create content about 2.5 hours a day. So there's engagement, and there's also an ability to monetize in the future. And most of these teams use a lot of bots. So it's not just one bot. They use about 8 bots in average. This is the last number I'm going to show you, I hope. So this is since the beginning of the year. We launched our platform in mid-December. Since the beginning of the year, we had 17,000 bots installed 3.6 million times. And if you think about this number, you can think about the order of magnitude more users, right? Because when you install a bot in a team, you need to install it only once, but the entire team has visibility towards that bot. So you need to multiply this number by the average number of people in these teams. Okay, so there's a very, very big audience behind this number. Here's another big number. I forgot I'm going to show it. We also have a fund. So we're a startup in the Silicon Valley, so we have to have a fund. But we invest in the ecosystem in a big way. And I'm a true believer that you invest. We put our money where our mouth is, and we invest in bots and we invest in infrastructure for bots. We usually do seed rounds, and we we don't lead the investment, but right now we're invested in like about 15 companies this year. Okay, so that's the official part of the presentation. Now I want to talk about an unofficial part. How do we experience bots? How do we experience software in general? Do you know how we experience software? So I'll tell you what I think. I think this is the way we experience software. I think we've been designing apps for about maybe 60, 70 years, but for how long have we been designing conversations? Hundreds of thousands of years, right? I know when I'm doing a conversation with my wife that I'm going to lose like in mid of the conversation, right? I can optimize the conversation with my kid to make them do what I want, right? Doing the same thing using user experience like Windows would be much harder for us. So we always have this conversation in our mind, even if we have a software, even if we're working with Windows or with a mobile app, right? We're looking at the app and we're saying, hey, this is awesome. I'm probably going to press on this button. Hey, this is cool. So we have this conversation that happens again and again in our mind, right? So having a conversation, building a bot is actually something that us as humans, our DNA is much more fine-tuned to. But there's a key here. And you know what's the key? It's the key that we haven't used for a very long time, in the last like 60 years. What's the key to create these interactions? To have a conversation, right? If you design it on script, on paper, it's probably not going to work. But if you're going to have the conversation, you'll notice certain things. And you'll need to overcome certain anxieties. So let's do an experiment. Okay, you ready? This is an experiment. First of all, we're going to overcome our anxiety of speaking, because I'm going to choose one of you, and you're going to come on stage and do an exercise with me. But before we do that, let's do an exercise. This is an exercise that I've learned in Google and in Microsoft in speaker training. This is a way to convince your brain that you're going to have a positive conversation rather than a negative conversation, okay? So this is how it goes. And I'll do it once, and then you'll have to do it with me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, ready? Computer's off. Stand up. Okay, great, thank you. Ready? Okay. Yeah, you too, I can see you. Yeah. Okay, ready? Together with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, ready? Blah. Awesome. Thank you very much. So it's actually, it feels kind of silly, but it actually, like, it's very, very easy to hack your brain. You're all smiling now because your brain has sent you a nice signal saying, hey, yeah, awesome. I'm ready to have a good conversation, right? So who's ready to have a good conversation with me? Okay, come. Welcome. Woo! It's going to be short and sweet, and everybody's going to be envious at you at the end of this. Hi, nice to meet you. So you probably need to speak up, because I have this and you don't. But it's going to be very easy. You don't really need to speak. Yeah, let's do it.
Boom, boom.
Let's see. If you actually speak, that's going to be interesting.
I hope so.
Okay, cool. Let's see. So I'm going to be the bot. I'm going to be the service, and you're going to be the user. Mm-hmm. Okay, ready? Hi, I'm an awesome bot, but before I tell you what I do, I want your username and password for Facebook, please.
No, I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay, thank you. That was it. Thank you very much. Wait here. 1 second. I haven't finished with you. You get socks for that. Slack socks.
Thank you.
Thank you. I told you, everybody's going to be envious at you at the end of this. Did you see this conversation? This was simple, right? A simple conversation. How many of you were surprised that it didn't give us his username and password for Facebook? A few of you. I mean, really. The only place where the person starts saying his username and password was Japan. And I actually stopped him. But I've been doing this all around the world. You can actually understand that people don't provide these information, but you'll be shocked to see how many people ask for a username and password in apps and in bots before giving any value to the user, right? So you could easily see that this conversation was cumbersome and awkward, but the amount of apps that actually do that and the amount of software that actually asks you to log in, we called it the login wall. The amount of apps and services that actually ask you to provide this unique information before giving you any value is amazing. So there's two things I want to leave you at the end of this presentation. One of them is reciprocity, which is a very hard word to say if you're not an English speaker. It's a matter of like giving and taking. Conversation is all about, I'm going to say something and then you're going to say something. I'm going to give you something and then you're going to give me something. And this is, I think, the best slide that I have in the world. People are willing to work a lot if they see the fruit of their work. Okay? This is why I like this slide. And the key is that people will give you a lot. People will interact with your bot in a delightful way. They'll understand if your bot is a little bit more stupid and doesn't like give them the service that they want, if they know that they're going to get it, right? So always have this reciprocity. Always make them sure that they understand and that you're giving them a delightful service. Focus on the service rather than on the jokes and on the interactions. Give them the service that they want, and they would love you. Thank you very much. It wouldn't be a presentation without an announcement. So this is my announcement this year. I'm very excited because I'm announcing this today that I signed a book deal with O'Reilly. So at the beginning of next year, you'll be able to read how to design bots. And if you want to know why I chose a Siberian Husky at the break, Google Siberian Husky and I love you and see the YouTube video. Okay? And that will make your week. Okay? Cool. Thank you very much. Awesome.